In this video, we'll be going over some of the common basic knots that you're going to use in your everyday personal fall arrest lifeline systems, work positioning, and anchoring. We're also going to be showcasing the most common way to coil up your lifeline ropes for storage purposes. Majority of these lifeline ropes, unless you're using a lifeline in a bucket kit that you obtain from a national box chain store, are going to be the static lines, whether it's 11 or 13 millimeter, whatever you're comfortable with. Just make sure that these ropes match up with any of the equipment, such as the ascenders that you're utilizing. The first knot we're going to look at is the stopper knot for the end of the rope. As discussed in the previous modules, this stopper knot is to stop you from falling off of the roof. You can see how I use my thumb to wrap around, and then I follow through with the end of the rope through the loops, and the end loop becomes the beginning loop, and then it all gets tightened up from there. Double check the security of the knot prior to utilizing. When you're using the stopper knot with any type of Prusik device or rope grab or descenders, this will stop you from going over the edge of the roof if the end of your rope only goes to the eave or where your ladders are and not all the way down to the ground. When installing various types of manufactured Prusiks, ensure that the diameter of the rope is indeed smaller than your lifeline rope. These manufactured Prusiks are simple to install, 3 loops around itself, so you have a total of 6 loops in the system, which acts as the tension mechanism to pull onto your lifeline rope. Clean it up really nice so you can see all of them in a pretty little row. And then double check the system that it works properly. As you can see, you put a load on it, it tightens it up, stopping any more movement in that lanyard. With this blue prusik is a wider diameter than the yellow prusik, so it's going to take more friction and be tighter on that lifeline in order to get the nice bite or grab that you want to stop you. So become familiarized with whatever product you're using. Now, when we're talking anchor knots, the most common one that gets utilized in the field more than any of the other anchor knots is going to be the simple figure 8 knot. You can have figure 8 follow through if you're using it at the end of the rope, or a simple figure 8 knot if it's not directly at the end of the rope. With the figure 8, it's just like the name suggests. You put your bite in the rope, you wrap around it to make your 8, and then you simply have your bite going through the top opening. Clean it up, tighten everything up, put your anchoring device connected to your carabiner, and you're good to go. The second knot we're going to showcase is the double figure 8. Instead of utilizing one piece of the rope, you're utilizing 2 pieces of the rope. Same aspect as the figure 8, but instead of following through with the end of the bite, you're grabbing the middle, pulling it through, and then taking that end of the bite and going over everything with it before you finally pull the tension out with your double piece of rope. Tighten everything up, make sure it's clean. And at the end, it should look like a tiny little gentleman wearing a nice robe with 2 ropes on both sides, and then a 3-tiered rope as a belt for the tiny little gentleman. And the carabiner gets attached to the little gentleman's head. The next knot is going to be the alpine butterfly. That's typically going to be made in the center of a rope or a lifeline in order to use for a foothold, a handhold, or to attach tool bags to. You can also use this as an anchor line. It's a matter of doing 2 twists and then folding it inward in itself like a pretzel and having that end twist bite go through the double loop of the pretzel and then pulling on both sides to tighten it up. And that is your alpine butterfly. Then your carabiner gets attached to that bite loop that went through the center. Now, when you're in the field, you have your loose rope and you're done for the day and you're putting everything away. One of the most simple and effective methods for putting away your lifeline rope is to do the hand over hand method, like so. Once you get to the point to where it's too much to grab in your hand, you simply throw it over your shoulders and utilize your neck and shoulders to keep the rope stable in the same length as you continue to bundle up your rope. Once you get to the point where you have about 8 to 10 feet left, maybe even less, maybe 6, depending on how long of a rope you're utilizing, you simply pick it up by the center that was hanging over your neck, wrap it around several times, leaving a few feet left over, make a bite toward the end of the rope, and pass it through the area you were holding. And then you pass the end of the rope through that bite, and it'll cinch up itself. Now you have maybe a couple feet left over at the end. Wrap it around the top where you made your bite cinched up, and then tuck that end of that little bugger right into the top. That'll allow it to be nice and bundled up, but still loose enough to where you can put it in any type of bag.